E-Samudra, digitization of maritime governance through this very portal. This is what is being pitched, but the question here is if it is actually a game changer that it is being painted out, or it is just merely a portal which will take us from paper records to paperless records. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh, and in today's session we are going to understand that not only for what E-Samudra portal has been brought into the picture, but understand that what it is trying to do for maritime governance, how it is needed, why it is needed, and how this is planned to deliver, especially when we are looking at smart port program and how this will be executed. So let us begin from understanding that what exactly has been given to us in the name of E-Samudra. So when we are talking about E-Samudra, yes, it is a portal. Now what does this portal do? So this portal is going to be the one-stop digital platform for maritime governance. What do I mean by this? So when we are looking for paperwork related to ship owners, seafarers, and any sort of application approvals and any work around it, that can be done on this digital platform. So this is going to be a single window platform for all the maritime stakeholders. How it will do that? It has brought 72 plus services in one single platform where all these services are available, and this platform is going to allow the use of online application, payments, digital certificates, real-time tracking, vessel registrations, certification, and all of this can be done paperless. So basically what will change because of E-Samudra is basically if ship owners, seafarers, they have to do paperwork, they have to submit applications, different intermediaries, different platforms, that has been moved out. All the maritime stakeholders have to come on the single platform. Whatever type of application, paperwork, processing needs to be done would be enabled on this one. So that is why it is being talked about as not just digitization of the paperwork, but digitization of how maritime governance is done. And when we are talking about something as big as this, that maritime governance is going to be changed, this is a game changer. E-Samudra is a game changer when we are looking at India's digital maritime push. We really need to understand that what we are being marketed, if it is that real or not. So in order to understand that, first we need to look at the need of it. How dire was the need to bring E-Samudra into picture? So in that context, first we need to look at certain numbers. So let us begin with looking at India's coastline. So if we are looking at coastline, we have 11,099 kilometers of coastline. If we are looking at navigable waterway in terms of kilometer, it is more than 14,000. And when we are looking at major ports, as of now the number stands above 30. So in this context, what we are seeing that there is a lot of potential that needs to be realized here, especially in terms of governance. So you will say, ma'am, how do we see the kilometers, how do we see the ports and understand that there is governance, there is a lot of government work involved. A lot of government work is involved here because when we are looking at these ports, we also have to understand how they are expanding. If we look at India's trade volume, 95% of the trade volume is done through shipping. 70% by value move through maritime routes. So that means if we are part of trade, we need these seafarers, we need these ships, we need these ports, and we need the processes along all this cycle to be done faster. Apart from that, when you look at the number of active seafarers, they have increased humongously from 1 lakh in 2013 to more than 3 lakh as of now. When we are looking at port capacity in 2014-15, it stood around 1561 MTPA, but as of now it has doubled out. And when we are looking at cargo handled, again that has also increased by 0.5x. So in this context, we can clearly see it is not just the fact that what we are trying to do around the ports, about the coastline. We have to make the systems around those coastline, navigable waterway and ports functional. And how that functionality would be easier, smoother, we need fast tracking. How the fast tracking will be done? When the cumbersome paperwork, multiple departments, intermediaries would be ruled out, and there will be a one-stop solution. And this is what probably E-Samudra is pitching. Now you have to clearly think that as of now, to handle what we have in front of us, India does not need to build more ports. We need to ensure that these ports are working properly, efficiently, systematically. The question here is, when we are looking at maritime governance ecosystem, can that work out efficiently? And in this context, we have to recognize that this is not just about ports, it is about that how maritime trade that is increasing, especially for us, that how the fleet is increasing, how the seafarers are increasing. And when we are looking at this, how can we not talk about geopolitical risks when we are talking about the maritime routes? All of this needs smooth, seamless maritime governance. Now specifically, when I have added this dimension of geopolitical risks, you have to understand, in the recent disruptions that we saw in West Asia, the maritime authorities had to deal with more than 16,000 calls, more than 40,000 communications were handled, and repatriation especially of seafarers who were stuck was looked out by them. So in order to execute and ensure that we are getting best of this, it is very important that we have something like E-Samudra. Why I am saying probably, why something? Because what and how it will deliver still needs to be seen. Yes, it is probably the answer to the questions as of now, but how better it would be done, how actually it will be implemented, still needs to be seen. Now, when we are looking at all these concerns and the need for a smooth, seamless, one-stop solution, E-Samudra has been pitched us as the change for governance. But we need to understand how. I had given you the overview, now let us take a deep dive. For example, when we are talking about the earlier setup, it was paperwork oriented. Now, we are seeing that it has totally become digital. Everything from tracking, scheduling, port status, dock location assessment, everything can be done. Earlier, multiple offices you had to apply, give the paperwork. Now it will be done on E-Samudra. It was initially paper based, now it is paperless, manual payments, online payments. So you can also see that how this can easily tackle the issue of red tapeism, corruption, accountability, and to an extent transparency as well can come into the picture. And all of this will not only enable real-time tracking, but the fragmented data, the fragmented offices, intermediaries, all of this will be collated into a very seamless, integrated ecosystem. Now the question is, ma'am, what do you mean by these generic codes? Let us take it by example. So if we are talking for a seafarer, in that context, he can apply, he can renew, track certification without actually going to multiple offices. He can do the paperwork online and make the payment, and that would be all. Let's take another example for a ship owner. Suppose he has a new vessel, he wants to get that registered, he wants to complete the regulatory process, and all of that can be done digitally. That means compliance burden and friction will be lesser. Let us look at it from the end of the government as well. How this might actually help government. This is one-stop solution for others, but this is a centralized digital trail for the government. They can monitor everything, they can process everything, and they have all the data availability that they need. And this is something exemplary for crisis management, because this is going to be the integrated information that can ease out identification, communication, assessing Indian seafarers aboard, and more. And when we are looking at E-Samudra changer of digital maritime governance, you have to understand that this is not the only entity in the role. E-Samudra is part of a broader maritime digital ecosystem, because when we are talking about E-Samudra, it is for vessel as well as regulatory administration. But we also have portals such as eNavik for 24/7 grievance addressal, such as Seafarer tracking dashboard. We also have with us DC. Can you tell me in the comment section what is DC for? And we also have Sagar Manthan. So all of these combined create the digital maritime ecosystem for better maritime governance. Tell me in the comment section what is DC and Sagar Manthan for? What do they help in? And this is where we need to clarify a very important conceptual point, that E-Samudra is a component of digital maritime stack, not just a random isolated portal that has been created. And that is why it is being said very clearly that E-Samudra is being placed at the heart of the Smart Port program, the project that we are undertaking. So when we are looking at E-Samudra from that context, we have to understand that India is not only working towards maritime infrastructure digitalized better, we are moving towards smart maritime infrastructure. And in that context, we just don't need to focus on ports, ships and shipyards. We need to focus on AI enablement. We need to focus on increasing the turnaround time. We need to focus on that how data can be amalgamated and much more. And this is where the digital infrastructure comes into the picture. E-Samudra is a great example. Maritime single window is present, AI, ML is present, data platforms will be given, and that will be a good point to understand that how smart maritime ecosystem will be gradually unfolding in our country. Because you have to clearly remember here that when we are talking about our maritime vision 2030, and when we are talking about maritime Amrit Kal vision of 2047, this is where we are not just talking about smart maritime infrastructure, we are talking about intelligence and efficiency as well, where we are not just looking into port, shipping, logistics, we are bringing AI security, human resources also into the picture. So a lot has changed in the last decade. We have talked about cargo, we have talked about the port capacity. Let me tell you, the vessel turnaround time has been almost halved from 96 hours to 48.8 hours. So when we are looking at the physical infrastructure, we are doing great. The next step is to conquer the digital infrastructure, and E-Samudra as of now seems the right step, given that in the coming years it actually delivers on the big promises that have been made. Because in this very context, this is another important factor, because maritime governance is not something that we are doing randomly. It is need of the hour. Not just for our country, but how our country is seen across the globe. If we have to remain a maritime power in Indian Ocean, it is not just about economic power, it is also about strategic power and human security. If we are looking at from the angle of economic, you have to understand it is not just about the trade, but if this trade is disrupted, what will happen? When we are looking at major routes present here, if any of this is blocked, what will be the repercussions that will be created for our economy as a whole? Then when we are looking at the strategic front, understand that Indian Ocean is a major global trade route and also a geopolitical corridor. Trade route, why? Strait of Hormuz opens into Indian Ocean, Strait of Malacca takes you out of Indian Ocean. Two big maritime choke points. It is a geopolitical theater as well. Why every country is interested in Indo-Pacific? China, US, Australia, Japan, everybody, they want their presence in this geopolitical theater, and these countries might have to go and look for the presence. India is present right there. But we won't be able to exercise it if we do not have the tools. And when we are looking at finally from the human angle, human resources perspective, we have to see that we have the world's second largest supplier of seafarers. Recent crisis has shown that these seafarers who facilitate our global trade, how vulnerable their lives are, and in such extreme vulnerable situations, there is office work which cannot watch time. I have already given you the numbers in front of this, the numbers related to this. But the context is, this all cannot wait for office time 9 to 5. This has to go round the clock. And that is why it is time that E-Samudra actually delivers. So the question that we started with, that if it is a portal or a game changer, that is something time will tell. It is promising a lot. The question only remains the deliverability. So when we are talking about deliverability, we also have to consider the challenges present. We can see there are a lot of potential gains, but challenges when we are talking about cyber governance, cyber security concerns, we have data privacy governance concerns. What about interoperability between different platforms? Digital access, how that will be enabled for smaller operators, and the most important one which we have been talking, that how the implementation will be done in real time. Now, what are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comment section. I'll be leaving you here with a prelims practice question. Look at the question. The answer has already been given to you. We have studied all of this. Let me know the answer to this in the comment section. That was all from my side. Thank you so much.